Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream.
That's right, folks. It is like a dream living here in these United States where everyone in the world wants to come. They want to be like us. They want to be like me. They want to be like you. They want to be like Mike, even though, because Mike's not here. Mike's off earning a living. Can you believe that? I got ditched so the dude could go make some money. Anyway, I'm here. You're here. We're going to have a good time. We are live today on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. So let's see how that goes. If we don't have any issues. So we're taking your comments on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Rumble. Once again, taking your comments live. So if you got something to say, you like what we're saying, you don't like what we're saying, all we ask is that you keep it interesting. If it's not interesting, we will mock you. Or as Mike will say, we will mock you. Because, that's just kind of how we do it. We like having a good time here on the program. Just know it's all in fun because we don't just want to hear from people who agree with us. We do like the debate. We do like the back and forth. So you are encouraged to do so. I have to apologize to you for the not being here on Friday or yesterday. To be quite honest, I have been down and out with the crud. Whatever it is, whatever thing is going around, I got to be honest with you. I had it. And I'm just getting over it. Today, I'm at a point where I can actually hear. I can actually see. Anyway, it was all bad. But today, it's all good. So because it's all good, I'm here. And there's a whole lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into the program. Starting with that thing that we do every time. We start off with every time. And that is the quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you at any length. If you're looking for to either do a rebuild of your current rifle or maybe just do a brand new build, folks, check it out today. Check them out today. Once again, hitmanindustries.net. Then we have the California Republican Assembly working to help elect Republicans, conservatives specifically, at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. They have their state conference coming up here pretty soon in a couple of weeks, so you want to check them out today. Go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Let me tell you, yours truly is a life member. You can be a life member too. So check them out today. That's cragop.org, the California Republican Assembly. And then if you are looking for a new holster, let me tell you, you can find the best in concealed carry tactical holsters on the market. That would be Hog Holsters. You can find them at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Helping Americans wear guns. Go there, check them out today. And if you use the discount code The Rundown, that's all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is like right up there, you're going to get a discount on us. Check them out today, hogholsters.com. And then finally, if you got a group of guys that you purchase all your tactical gear together, you want to get a big discount. If you've got a club, maybe you purchase for your department, or maybe you're a purchaser for your unit in the military. Let me tell you, the place you need to check out is uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection, everything you could look for, all things tactical except the gun. They have phenomenally competitive pricing, great customer service. Once again, veteran-owned and operated, uscombatgear.com. Check them out today. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's program, and we're going to start right here. We're going to be talking about DOGE because so much of what we've been talking about lately, so much of the good stuff that has been going on is DOGE related. This is one that I think that a lot of us hear about. Now, I'll be honest with you. Some of the times when we hear about these what am I looking for? Some of the times when we hear about these the politicians who are worth a bunch of money, sometimes it's a bunch of hooey because not every meme you see on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram or whatnot, not all of them are accurate, but a number of them are, and there are a number of politicians, people who went into government earning, for what they do, and it's not a pittance. I mean, members of the House of Representatives earn about $175,000 a year. That's not like a fortune, but it's a lot of money for a lot of folks. It's more than what I earn. But also keeping in mind that they have to maintain a household both there in Washington, D.C., as well as where they live at home. So, it can, being a politician, especially because you also got to go to all those events and fundraisers and do a lot of stuff. Anyway, it can be quite expensive. But in any case, one would think on a salary of $175,000 a year, that would be kind of difficult for one to become a multi-millionaire. But that actually is, in fact, what has happened. I mean, we might be surprised to know this, but Nancy Pelosi, for example, is worth several millions, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. We have a guy who was just the president, who spent almost all of his adult life as a member of Congress, either as a member of Congress, or not a member of Congress, but in politics. I think the most he earned was $400,000 a year while he was president. Other than that, he earned the $200,000 a year that they earn as a member of the Senate, and that's only more recently. So how does he get to be worth, once again, several tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars? Well, Elon Musk is wondering the exact same thing. So what he decided to do was he's going to turn, once he gets through all that stuff, he's going to turn the DOGE lens, or the eye of Sauron, over on some of these politicians. He's actually previewed that he's looking into the wealth of lawmakers. How do they become so rich? It says here, Tesla CEO and Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, head Elon Musk said the organization will look into the reasons so many members of Congress suddenly, and you focus on this one, suddenly become rich. There we go. Accumulating generational wealth over their years in government service. Musk took questions during the town hall in Wisconsin on Sunday, and one of the individuals asked if DOGE had uncovered any connection of funds to the likes of Representative Maxine Waters from California, or Senator Adam Schiff, also from California, via highly scrutinized U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. I'm sorry, I don't call them USAID, which the State Department is trying to eliminate. Musk explained that the government will often send money overseas, which flows to these non-governmental organizations, and he believes the funds end up coming back to the U.S. directly into the pockets of some of these lawmakers, describing it as a circuitous route. Okay, that's interesting. Circuitous route, Musk explained. It does not go directly, but let's just say that there's a lot of strange, wealthy members of Congress where I'm trying to connect the dots. How do they become rich? Members of Congress outside of leadership positions make $174,000 a year. This raises eyebrows when some are worth millions. Representative Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat from California, starting to sense a theme here from California, who has been in Congress since 1987, has a net worth of at least $50.9 million, while Quiver Quantitative places her at $285.05 million, according to Business Insider. Senator Rick Scott, Republican of Florida, who confounded both HCA Healthcare and Solonic, is considered one of the richest members of Congress with a net worth of $549.91 million. And while it is true that some lawmakers made their personal fortunes prior to their becoming members of Congress, there is more than enough evidence to raise suspicions about suspicions about a potential pipeline. And this, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, this is something, and I want you to hear me on this. This is not a concern that is unique to Democrats. This is something that is both Republicans and Democrats need to be looked at for. In many cases, there have been efforts to push to change the ability for members of Congress or their families to be able to make certain investments. In particular, when they know about legislation or they pass legislation or they promote legislation or they push legislation that would then add value to something, or legislation that people would know about, which basically means insider trading, or they acquire a piece of property. And there was a Republican who did this. I'm not going to say any names, but he's a California Republican. Once again, getting a sense here, California. There was a Republican who bought a piece of property, pushed a piece of legislation, got it all the way through Congress, got it signed into law, actually got it put into a bill that really had nothing to do with it, but got it put into a bill. It increased the value of his property. Then he turned around and sold the property. And the ethics committee, once again, if there's ever any such thing as an oxymoron, it's a congressional ethics committee, said that it was completely okay. In fact, the Senate Congressional Ethics Committee has rarely, if ever, taken a position or done anything to tell a member of Congress that they are not allowed to do certain things, that there's certain things that are just kind of beyond the pale, things that they're not allowed to do. Well, in this particular case, folks, let me tell you, this is what they're going to be looking at. And once again, the biggest problem, and it's the same thing been with all of these offices of government efficiency that have been created in the past, and we've talked about that. One was created by Wilson, one was created by Truman, one was created by Roosevelt, Clinton did it, Obama did it. I mean, they all did it. Everybody does it. But the problem is that it's all political insiders who are part of the cabal, the people who are looking into this stuff. Once again, this is DOGE just looking at the data, just pulling together some of the data they're pulling from out of the various different departments. And what they're going to be doing is the only stuff they're really going to be getting from the government is they're going to be comparing it to the reports that are submitted. But then they're going to be pulling whatever financial data they can from various different investments and things like that to find out where some of these investments are going. And then they'll compare that to legislation that's been passed. So it's going to be real interesting to find out how these folks made their money and if they did so unethically. And I can just tell you, and by the way, just because it is unethical does not mean that it is illegal. Let me $100,000 here and there, $1 million here. He doesn't need that to take that from the government. That's number one. Because if he needed that, first of all, he would actually take his salary of $400,000 a year, which he does not take. Anyway, that having been said, you then also got the fact that, they're like, oh, well, he's just trying to help his buddies get rich. Well, he's not a Washington insider. The Washington insiders hate him. So no, he ain't worried about them getting rich. He just wants to make sure that our money isn't being wasted, that people aren't, that when legislation is being passed, that it's being passed because it's the best thing for America, not because it's the best thing for one rich person or another. And I think that's an admirable thing. That's the sort of thing that we ought to be looking for in our elected officials. So anyway, this is going to be real interesting to see what winds up happening here. I want to see what happens. I don't know exactly when he's going to begin looking at this. But I'm hoping that it will be soon. I'm going to go ahead and the article here, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the comments section for the live audience. So if you guys want to go there and read it, don't go there now. I know you're tempted, but don't go there now. But it'll be there, so you can go there and you can read the article. It's there in the comments section for you. All right. Now, that's not, by the way, the only news or information that's coming out of DOGE. Elon Musk has also reported some other stuff that is going on. And that is, he basically talked about this in the same presentation that he was doing. He pointed out that 2.1 million non-citizens, 2.1 million non-citizens obtained Social Security numbers in 2024 alone. In 2024 alone, that's how many people How many non-citizens obtained Social Security numbers. Let's go over to that article over here real quick. Okay, it says here Elon Musk claims 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024, also being reported by Breitbart. By the way, a lot of good news, a lot of interesting news out of Breitbart today. Anyway, and here we go. Oh, did not want to go straight over to Twitter. Let's go back over here. Okay, it says here, White House advisor and Department of Government Efficiency head Elon Musk claimed roughly 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024. Speaking at a conference alongside his longtime friend Antonio Garcias, CEO of Valor Equity Partners, Musk said DOGE uncovered eye-opening numbers regarding Social Security in 2024. We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. There's a lot of great people out there that showed us a lot of waste, so that we came with a big list of stuff. But this is what jumped out at us, Gracias said as he pointed to the chart. In 2021, you see 270,000 people goes all the way up to 2.1 million in 2024. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers. That's important to note. So he's not saying checks, he's saying numbers. Gracias clarified that he had no political motivation for revealing those numbers, noting that his parents and siblings were born in Spain, while touting himself as a supporter of legal immigration. He also praised the employees of Social Security Administration who took risks to show them that what has been allegedly happening. As to how 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024, Gracias said that the previous administration had a policy that allowed migrants to enter the country and then register Social Security. When you come in the country, if you are illegal, there's a couple of ways you come in. You can come in through the port of entry, or you can tell them you're afraid and they'll just give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way is to just go to the border, walk up. Okay, he's talking about how you get into the country, but that still doesn't explain, why do you need a Social Security number? If you're not allowed to collect Social Security, or at least until you're here legally, if you're here illegally, you're not supposed to be collecting Social Security. Why do you get a Social Security number? Anyway, they have a couple of choices. They can charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can, once again, that's all about how you get in here. What this doesn't tell you is, why do these people need Social Security numbers? I don't understand what the point is of, and once again, maybe some of y'all out there know a valid reason why someone would want or need a Social Security number, but it's not included here. Maybe you know, I don't know. I am not sure. It makes absolutely no sense to me why you would need a Social Security number unless you're planning on collecting Social Security. Now, I do know my wife immigrated here from Fiji, and I do know that there are people, I don't know about in her family, but I do know that there are people that they know that came here to the United States and opted to, I don't want to put it. They opted to get their own Social Security. In some cases, they came over here as senior citizens and still got on Social Security. I don't understand how you do that. Once again, if you haven't paid into the system, by the way, for those of you who got mad because Elon Musk said that it's a Ponzi scheme, it is literally a legal Ponzi scheme. Now, if your definition of a Ponzi scheme is, because is whether or not it's legal, it is a pyramid scheme, meaning that they sell you on the idea that when you pay in, That money is being invested and you're earning profits, you're earning returns on that money, and that money will come back to you at a later date. That's not how Social Security works. When you put money into Social Security now, you get a promise to pay, meaning they tell you, okay, well, when you retire, you'll be able to start collecting a monthly check of a certain amount, depending on how much you pay into the system or how long you've worked, yada, yada, yada. You'll get a certain amount back. For as long as you live. If you die, then your spouse will get either a survivor benefit or whatever she has. If you have kids, same thing. But here's the thing. It's a promise to pay. It's not linked to the money that you put in, because the money you put in right now, the money that just got taken out of your check, right? If you get paid once a month, you just got paid. The money that goes to Social Security right now is going to pay the benefits of people who are on Social Security right now. That's what a Ponzi scheme is. When someone comes to you and says, hey, give me $1,000 and in 2 weeks, I'll give you $1,200 back or $1,500 back, right? That's like more than likely a Ponzi scheme, because here's what they're going to do. They're going to get that money. They're going to take that money and they're going to pay people who already invested with them, right? So those people are like, wow, I made money. Right? Well, let's put it this way. They're going to give some of that money to them and they're going to hold on to some of that money. Right? And that's the way the Ponzi scheme works. What happens, the problem with a Ponzi scheme is this. It's always the last people who put in who are the ones who wind up holding the bag, because those are the ones who are more than likely not to get their money back. And right now we're looking at a situation where with Social Security where it's almost 1-to-1 I won't say 1-to-1. It's like at least 2-to-1. So there's 2 or 2.5 to 1 people working, putting money into Social Security for every person that's taking money out of Social Security. And those numbers are going down. That ratio is going down. We don't have enough people working, putting money into Social Security to pay the Ponzi scheme. That's the problem. That's the reason why it's considered a Ponzi scheme. So what you definitely can't afford to have happen is you can't afford to have people who didn't pay into the system collecting money from it. You definitely can't afford to have people who are on Social Security disability, meaning that maybe didn't work. Like, I don't know if you know this. If you are a drug addict, you can collect Social Security disability for drug addiction. Yeah. Whether you've paid into the system or not. Anyway, that's why Social Security needs to be fixed. This is just one reason why it needs to be fixed. There are so many different things, so many different reasons why Social Security needs to get fixed. This is just one of them. But once again, it will be very interesting to see what winds up happening, if anything winds up changing in terms of how this thing is going to be dealt with. Anyway, moving right along. One of the things that current Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has been really pushing on is, if you're in a combat role, he's not against the idea of women in combat. A lot of people are just like, no, absolutely, positively not. But what he believes, though, is that if you're going to be in combat, men and women, regardless of age, you should have to meet the same physical standards if you're going to be in a combat role. The reason why is because when you are on the battlefield, the conditions don't care whether you're a man or a woman, right? The size of your pack doesn't care. How much ammo you have to carry doesn't matter. The fellow soldier that gets injured and needs you to carry them out, it doesn't matter whether you are a man or a woman. What matters is, do you have the ability to do the things that you need to do in order to help that individual, in order to do what you need to do as a fellow soldier, in order to not be a burden upon your fellow soldiers, or to be able to help your fellow soldiers and do the job that you're there to do. Well, one of the things that is finally starting to take place is we're actually starting to see the actual physical standards for men and women. So they're now going to be sex neutral standards for men and women in the military for combat roles, which I think is only fair. This is not sports. Well, I'll get into that comment later. Okay, it says here, this is a quote, "For far too long, we allowed standards to slip, and different standards for men and women in combat arms, military occupational specialties, and jobs. That's not acceptable," Hegseth said in a video on his official plane flying back from Japan before signing a memo implementing the order. We need to have the same standard, male or female, in our combat roles to ensure our men and women who are in those formations have the best possible leaders and the highest possible standards that are not based on your sex, if you're a man or a woman, he added. So we'll have nothing but the highest and equal standards for men and women in combat. I don't know. This just seems like a gimme to me. Unfortunately, Mike's not here, but I'm sure any of those of you who have watched the show before know Mike's just going to agree with this. He's just flat out going to say, look, of course, I don't know. I honestly don't know how Mike feels specifically about women in combat, but I'm going to guess that he'd rather they not be because Mike is one of those chivalrous guys, and he's going to be extra concerned about women in combat. He just is. He's going to pay attention. Maybe I'm wrong. So Mike, if you're watching this later and I'm wrong, you can go ahead and tell me when you're on the show. But it's going to be a problem. It is a problem. So one of the things he wants to do is at the very least, they want to make sure we have the same standard. And that's the way that it should be, in particular where it matters. I mean, there are some jobs where physically it matters. It just does, right? You cannot, there's certain things that if you are not able to do certain things, to carry certain weight, like I said, I weigh 215 pounds. Do I believe that a 5'1", 105-pound woman could carry me out of a combat zone if I needed her to, carry me a quarter of a mile out of a combat zone if I needed her to? I don't know. I'm not saying that there are no women that fit that standard. I'm saying there's probably a lot of guys who would be even bigger than that wouldn't have that standard. The problem is that when you lower the standard, you lower the capability of what they can do. You just do. And I get it. You'll have more diverse folks out there in combat. I'm not against that. But I don't think that you sacrifice effectiveness in combat for diversity. Now, as technology changes, obviously, some of those physical requirements are going to change. And you know what? For those of you who have no problem with women in combat, hooray when it does. Root for that, pray for that. If that's what you want, if that's what you're okay with. But right now, in places of combat, I'm sorry. And by the way, it's not just about you. Like I said, it's about the person next to you. It's about the people who are depending on you, to be there, to be able to provide for them and do what you need, do what needs doing mentally and physically. So anyway, I say hooray for the change. All right, moving on to our next story. Now, this also is an interesting one. This is one that I won't say caught me by surprise, but it's one that I'm surprised we're not hearing more about. And it's more about the new, we'll call it the inequality in marriage, right? For most of history, I'll just use American history. It's not been uncommon for the man in a marriage for men on average to be more educated and to earn more money. And when that was the case, we saw much, much higher marriage rates or rates of marriage. But now there's a new trend. And this trend is fewer men are actually going to and graduating from college. In fact, women right now are getting they're both getting graduate degree or they're getting their bachelor's degrees as well as higher education degrees. They're more likely to get these degrees. Thus, in many cases, they're actually earning more than men. The challenge is that women are much less likely to marry. I don't know if it's women are much less likely to marry men that earn less, or is that men are much less likely to marry women who earn more. I don't know which it is. Maybe when we go through the article, it'll tell us. But what's happening is, so that's one of the reasons why you're starting to see fewer people getting married, or fewer college-educated women getting married. This is a report. This is actually over at The Atlantic. It says, the new marriage of unequals. It says, once upon a time, it was fairly common for a highly educated man in the United States to marry less educated women. But beginning in the mid 20th century, as more women started to attend college, marriages seemed to move in a more egalitarian direction, at least in one respect. A greater number of men and women started partnering up with their educational equals. That trend, however, appears to have stalled and even reversed in recent years. Gaps in educational experience among heterosexual couples are growing again. And this time, it's women who are marrying down. Researchers debate whether marriage between educational equals homogamy is on decline, but one thing is clear. The phenomenon of women marrying men with less education than themselves, what academics call homogamy, is on the rise. In fact, women are now more likely to marry less educated men than men are to marry less educated women. Christine Schwartz, a sociology professor with the University of Wisconsin at Madison, shared data with me on trends in the educational profile of heterosexual married couples in 1940 to 2020. According to her calculations, in 2020, American husbands and wives shared the same broad level of education in 44.5% of heterosexual marriages, down from more than 47% in the early 2000s. Of educationally mixed marriages, the majority, 62%, were hypogamous. I probably should have read this through before. Hypogamous, which up from, meaning probably they're not equal, up from 39% in 1980. Crunching the numbers slightly different, Benjamin Goldman, an economist professor at Cornell University, found that among Americans born in 1930, 2.3% ended up in a marriage where the woman had a 4-year degree and the man did not. Among the cohort born in 1980, that figure it was 9.6%. The trend is hardly unique to the United States. Hypogamy is becoming more common all over the globe. Now, one of the reasons that this may be happening, once again, this is now noting that what they don't talk about here is the fact that fewer people in the United States are actually getting married. And part of the reason that is this. But amongst those who are getting married, because once again, they're not, you notice they're talking percentages. They're not really talking raw numbers, right? Or as a percentage of all people, whether or not they're getting married. But what they're pointing here is that women who do marry are more likely to have to marry down when it comes to income. Now, some of this may have to do with the fact that if their husbands are going into something that doesn't require a college degree, they're probably earning more money while they are, instead of going to college. So while their wives are in school, they're earning more money. They are in the labor market, right? Earning those dollar bills. So they may be supporting them. They may be getting their wages up, right? They may be gaining that experience. And by the way, just so you know, and I don't know, those of you, if you may not know this, but here in the United States, one of the things that's actually happening is, especially coming straight out of high school, the ability to earn a significant living has gone way up. And when I say way up, I mean, you can actually earn a very, very decent living straight out of high school if you are in the construction trades, because there are so few people who are going into the construction trades that they're looking for people. They need people, whether it's as an electrician or as a welder, whether it's doing drywall, whether it's as a carpenter. If you can go into the skilled trades, there are tons of opportunities to start off, get job experience, get earning a decent wage when you first start. But even more importantly, if you can get on the union track, if you can get on the apprenticeship track, by the time your spouse graduates from college, because by the way, there's a bunch of jobs that people are doing now that don't really require a college degree, but the employer who's hired them required them to have a college degree. They're finding more and more that jobs, people with college degrees are earning less and less as a percentage compared to those who don't have college degrees. Because once again, there's a lot of jobs that don't really require it. Anyway, all that having been said, so by the time they're graduating, you hit year 5 or 6, you're now out of college, you're earning a lot more money because you've got 4 or 5 years of actual work experience, right? You can leave the job where you were working that was a non-union job, and now you're a part of the union. Maybe you were an apprentice when you first got into the trade. Now you're a journeyman, right? You're getting more jobs and you're getting more prevailing wage jobs. I mean, anyway, there's tons of opportunities. There's tons of reasons why this is happening. But folks, one of the things that is happening is, once again, though, and this is the thing that they don't point out in this article, but I also know it to be true because I've seen it other places, is that a lot of people are, while they're more likely when they are getting married, they're more likely marrying down. What they're also finding is, in many cases, they're not marrying at all. That's just not uncommon. So it's affecting the relations because, like I said, women are less likely to marry down than are men. When I say down, I mean I'm talking income wise or educational level. I'm not talking quality, because Lord knows I have more education than my wife, and she definitely married down. I'll just be honest with you. Or at least put it this way, I married up. I'll just put it to you that way. Anyway, moving right along, in terms of quality, not education or earnings, just to be clear. Anyway, all right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holster on discount today. All right, our first one here. By the way, all of our parting shots today are coming to you from our good friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. All right, this first one here, it says, due to tough economy, professional Tesla bomber forced to take second job as Bernie rally attendee. Oh my, if this were not so close to the truth, this is an example of literally, they're mocking reality, but so many of these protesters that you're seeing out here are paid protesters, and many of these who are participating in the in a lot of a lot of these violent protests, yeah, they are guilty as well. Anyway, also moving along. Oh, here's another one. You might have heard that President Trump recently has not ruled out running for a third term, or basically he's trolled the media. They asked him a question. He said, well, a lot of people would love for me to run for a third term. And I hear there are ways, but we're just focused on, what's going on right now and on our current, on the current term in office. Anyway, Trump also has not ruled out the possibility of becoming immortal emperor of mankind for the next 10,000 years. So because he has not ruled that out, I imagine you're going to see that reported in the mainstream media out there once again. Anyway, and also, as we are noting that because everyone nowadays everyone who is, not part of the cool culture that hates Donald Trump or hates Republicans, because they're not considered Nazis, it's not just creating problems for them, but it's actually also creating problems for real Nazis. It says here, once again, from the Babylon Bee, actual Nazi struggling to stand out now that everyone is a Nazi. Wow. Truth, reality, comedy, all have come together. We are now in bizarro world, folks. That is the world that we are currently in. Anyway, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. But before we go, one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We got Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly. If you want to be a part of California's future today, join CRA at cragop.org. And then you've got Hog Holsters, the best in concealed carry tactical holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. And then finally, you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. And that's going to be it for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back mañana on Hump Day. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.